If you just think for a second about almost everything around us, your phone, the buildings, infrastructure,
Hmm.
it all starts with raw materials,
Right.
metals, minerals.
Right. And the demand for those is just constantly climbing.
Exactly. And, well, that brings us nicely into today's topic, a really interesting technology called high-pressure grinding rollers, HPGRs for short. We've got this great report we're going to unpack.
Yeah, and HPGRs are they're a big deal in processing these materials. They're essentially a much more energy efficient way to crush and grind rock compared to, the older methods.
More efficient grinding.
Okay, which is key when you're trying to get valuable stuff out of the ground economically. It's interesting too, although we're focusing on industry today, the same kind of core tech pops up in some advanced medical devices, implantable things.
Oh, fascinating. But yeah, today, industry. So our mission here is to really get under the hood of this HPGR market based on the report. Where's it growing? Why? What are the potential bumps in the road?
And the numbers are pretty eye-catching straight away.
They really are. The projection for 2025, USD 572.8 million. That's the market size.
And looking ahead, it gets even more, well, impressive. The report suggests a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 9.2% between 2025 and 2033.
Wow, 9.2%.
Yeah, which pushes the market value up to USD 1,158.20 million by 2033, over $1 billion.
Okay, so that kind of growth definitely makes you ask, what's driving all this? What's behind those numbers?
That's the core question, isn't it? Where's the growth happening geographically? Which sectors? And fundamentally, what makes HPGR so attractive right now?
It seems like energy efficiency and just better economics for mining operations are big parts of the story.
Absolutely. Let's dig into that. The report really flags how mining companies are adopting HPGRs to, well, boost profitability and just make their operations smoother.
Makes sense. So it's about efficiency gains.
It really is. The big driver is needing grinding solutions that save money and use less energy compared to things like traditional ball mills. They've been the standard for ages, but HPGRs offer a real advantage on the power consumption side.
Right. And the report actually quantifies those savings, doesn't it? I saw some numbers.
It does. We're potentially looking at saving between 20% and maybe even up to 50% on energy compared to the conventional ways.
50%, that's huge.
It is, and it gets even more compelling when you think about how much energy mining actually uses. There's this group, the Coalition for Eco-Efficient Mining, CEEC.
Okay, CEEC. What do they say?
Well, their data shows that grinding and crushing just those two steps chew up something like 53% of all the energy used at a mine site.
Over half the energy.
Yeah, and that works out to almost 10% of the total operating costs for the mine.
Wow.
So, if you bring in a technology that can cut energy use by, say, 20%, let alone 50%,
Yeah.
that's a massive cost saving right there.
That really drives the point home. It's not just an environmental nicety. It's serious money we're talking about.
Exactly. And that ties into another big factor, the push for grinding systems that are efficient and have lower emissions. Mining, cement, these industries are under pressure to clean up their environmental act.
And HPGRs help with that too.
Seems so. The report mentions they can cut energy consumption by up to 40%. Less energy used means fewer emissions. Simple as that. Which is vital, with stricter regulations and companies wanting to hit sustainability targets.
Okay, let's circle back to this sheer demand for metals and minerals we started with. How does that feed the HPGR market?
Well, it's pretty direct. We need more stuff for electronics, for construction, right? So that means more mining, more mineral processing.
Right.
And these operations, especially when they're dealing with really hard, abrasive rock, they benefit hugely from the efficiency of HPGRs. They handle tough materials better, using less power.
So the more materials we need, the stronger the argument for HPGRs becomes.
Okay.
But it can't all be smooth sailing. What about downsides, limitations, market constraints?
Good point. No technology is perfect for everything. The report does mention that HPGRs aren't, universally applicable. Their scope is a bit limited depending on the material itself.
Like what kind of materials wouldn't work so well?
Well, the report doesn't go into super detail, but you can imagine maybe really sticky stuff or extremely fine powders might not flow right through those high-pressure rollers.
Okay.
And also just the operational environment. If a site is super remote, lacks robust infrastructure, supporting these advanced machines could be tricky logistically.
Right, logistics.
What else might slow things down?
Cost is a big one. The initial price tag for an HPGR system plus ongoing maintenance, it can be pretty steep, especially for smaller companies without deep pockets. These are complex machines.
And I imagine you need skilled people to run and fix them.
Exactly. The report highlights that. There's a growing need for technicians who really know how to install, operate, maintain these things. If you can't find qualified people, that's definitely a bottleneck.
Yeah. So it's that classic trade-off. Potential long-term savings versus the upfront cost and needing the right expertise. Okay, let's switch gears to geography. Where is this market actually booming? The regional breakdown sounds interesting. It is quite revealing. Looking at 2025, North America is set to be the dominant region. We're talking over 40% of global revenue. That's about USD 211.94 million.
Driven by mining, I assume.
Primarily, yeah. The established mining industry there, especially for gold and copper, is a huge factor.
But the report mentioned some challenges for North America, too.
It did. Things like, strict environmental laws, high operating costs, those are definite headwinds, and maybe slower investment in new projects. But interestingly, those same high-cost energy prices, taxes also make the efficiency of HPGRs more appealing, so it kind of cuts both ways.
Ah, okay.
And there's apparently growing interest in using them for hard rock mining specifically.
What about Europe? They seem to have a big slice, too.
They do. Europe's a strong second, holding over 30% of the market in 2025. That's around USD 166.11 million. A big driver there seems to be the focus on sustainable, environmentally sound production. Think Germany, big manufacturing base.
Right, sustainability push.
Yeah, and they're adopting energy-efficient tech like HPGRs.
Yeah.
Also seeing more sales in the UK, apparently linked to more mining and metallurgical projects popping up.
Okay. Now, the report really singled out Asia-Pacific as the one to watch growth-wise.
Oh, absolutely. That's where the really rapid growth is expected. The CAGR projection is 12.0% from 2025 to 2033. That's significantly higher than other regions.
12%.
Yeah. Their 2025 market size is estimated at USD 137.47 million, about 23% of the global share, but it's set to grow fast.
And what's fueling that surge?
Mostly, it's expanding mining activities. China, Australia, India are key players. Plus, big investments in infrastructure and manufacturing. China's also becoming a huge gold market, which spurs gold mining and the need for efficient processing like HPGRs provide.
Lots of new mine projects, too.
Yeah, both expanding existing mines, brownfield, and completely new ones, greenfield projects across the whole region. That's a major driver.
Got it. And the other regions? South America, Middle East, Africa, they're smaller pieces of the pie.
They are, but still growing. South America has over 5%, about USD 21.77 million in 2025, growing at nearly 10% CAGR. Brazil's a key market there, mining and cement.
Okay.
The Middle East is around 2%, maybe USD 22.91 million, but with a strong CAGR at 10.5%. Again, mining growth and focus on energy saving, like in Saudi Arabia, Turkey. And Africa is currently about 1%, roughly USD 12.60 million, projected CGR of 9.5%. The need for energy efficiency is a factor there, too.
It's fascinating how the regional picture varies based on, existing industries, environmental focus, development levels.
Right.
Well, let's get more specific about the technology itself. The segmentation, power rating, materials, applications, and users.
Right. Let's start with power rating. The report suggests the biggest segment is likely the 2 by 100 kilowatt up to 2 by 650 kilowatt range.
Why that range?
Probably because they're versatile, relatively affordable, good for a lot of different jobs in cement, mining, other industries, kind of the sweet spot for many users.
But there's faster growth in the really high-power machines.
Correct. The segment that's 2 by 3,700 kilowatts and even bigger, that's growing faster.
And that's just because operations are getting bigger.
Essentially, yeah. Demand for larger, more powerful grinders that can handle huge volumes of material. Think massive mines, big cement plants. And the engineering's gotten better, making these huge, efficient machines more practical.
Okay. What about the materials being processed? Ferrous metals, iron, and steel stuff is the biggest chunk now.
That's right. Largest share there. HPGRs got adopted pretty widely in steel and iron ore processing early on because they're cost-effective for those high-volume materials. They're kind of standard now.
But the fastest growing material type is non-ferrous metals. Copper, gold.
Yep, that's booming. Driven by demand for copper, gold, nickel, all essential for electronics, EVs, you name it.
Right.
And HPGRs are just really efficient for processing those valuable metals. Plus, that environmental angle we talked about, pushing miners towards more responsible methods.
Makes sense. Now, applications. Diamond liberation. That's the biggest single use. Seems very specific.
It is specific, isn't it? But yeah, HPGRs are apparently crucial for getting diamonds out of the ore efficiently. They create the right particle size without using too much energy, which means better diamond recovery, lower costs. Perfect for that niche.
Huh. Okay. And the fastest growing application?
That would be precious metal beneficiation, so processing gold and silver mainly.
Again, driven by demand.
Exactly. Strong demand for gold and silver means miners need better, cheaper ways to get them out. HPGRs help liberate the metals better, use less energy doing it, so very attractive for gold and silver operations.
And finally, end users. Mining is the biggest overall segment, which isn't surprising given everything we've said.
Not at all. HPGRs are used so widely for processing ores and minerals. Mining is naturally the largest end user. They need high-quality ground material. They need energy efficiency. HPGRs deliver.
But the report also mentioned ore and mineral processing specifically as a fast-growing sector. What's the difference there?
It's a bit subtle. Mining is the whole extraction process. Ore and mineral processing is more focused on the step after digging it up, refining, upgrading the raw stuff so it can be used.
Ah, okay. The downstream part.
Right. And that specific processing segment is growing fast because, again, the need for cost-effective techniques and the energy savings from HPGRs make them ideal for that refinement stage.
So yeah, across all these breakdowns, it really comes back to efficiency, cost, and the needs of the mining sector.
Mhm.
Who are the companies actually making these machines? What's the competitive scene like?
It looks pretty competitive, actually. A mix of big global players and some regional specialists. The report lists names like CITIC Heavy Industries, FL Smith, KHD Humboldt Wet Ag, Metso, Cast Steel Products, Weir Group, ThyssenKrupp, Copper & Group, Autotech, AKRAF, GmbH. Quite a few.
Yeah, a couple of interesting moves highlighted. FL Smith bought ThyssenKrupp's mining division except for India back in July 2021. That looks like a move to expand their global footprint and product range.
And then in March 2022, Metso sold off its process automation systems division to Valmet, which might suggest Metso's is, focusing more sharply on its core mining and aggregates business, plus flow control.
So the market's definitely dynamic, companies adjusting strategy.
Exactly. Mergers, acquisitions, divestments. It shows companies are actively positioning themselves in this growing market.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, bringing this deep dive to a close, what's the single biggest takeaway from this whole HPGR market analysis?
I think the main thing is just how clearly the market is set for significant growth. It's really being driven by that fundamental need for more energy-efficient, cost-effective grinding, and mining is, well, it's the main engine behind that push.
Yeah, and those numbers, again, that 9.2% CAGR hitting over $1 billion by 2033, that's really something.
It really is, and it makes you think about the wider implications, the demand for certain metals, the push for sustainable mining, the tech advancements.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
Absolutely. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Given how vital grinding is, how might future breakthroughs, maybe material science or even more automation build on what HPGRs are already doing? What could that mean for efficiency and sustainability down the road?
This is a great question to ponder, especially as our need for these raw materials just keeps growing.